This is a very quick demonstration of the current state of Microsoft Dynamics 365 customer engagement. In this particular case, we're going to talk about the Sales Hub app, and that's how it's defined these days in a series of apps. So the Sales Hub app has certain entities and functions that are to facilitate the sales effort in your organization. What we're looking at right now in the fourth quarter of 2020 is the unified interface. The unified interface is sort of an evolutionary step in the journey of Microsoft Dynamics CRM, which is more mobile friendly and more responsive and a little bit more modern looking. The fundamental functions and architecture of Microsoft Dynamics CRM actually has not changed that much over the last dozen years or so. The interface has, however. I'm accessing the application right now using Chrome, and it can be generally accessed through any browser, but also any mobile device. There's native applications on most of the mobile platforms. What you're looking at right now is a dashboard, and a dashboard is useful because it abstracts some of the types of information that you see on the left that you would otherwise need to see by clicking on those objects in one central location in the context that you want to see it. And I'll show you a couple of different dashboards because operationally speaking, they're very useful. As you can see, they represent and can represent both list-based information as well as graphical information. And for instance, in the upper left corner here, these are the opportunities in a certain context. Over here are the sales goals and the targets and how far we've reached them. And this data, of course, refreshes automatically based on the activities that I perform and log inside the system. There are different types of dashboards. This is a dashboard that I just threw together. You can build as many of these as you like, and even individuals can build them if they want to build something in a certain point of view. Here's a typical one that's a little bit more operational and a little bit more list-based. So the idea here is that, as you can see, there's plenty of types of information on the left, which we'll go into, but the dashboard can show upwards of 6 different types of information all in one place, which is much more efficient, especially if you present the information in some kind of a context that helps you understand it better. So for instance, activities, open opportunities, leads, accounts, and then different representations graphically of opportunities. So I think what we'll do right now is talk about some of the definitions in Microsoft's vision about some of these entities on the left. These types of information we refer to as entities. They're also tables in the database if you're a little bit more technical. Accounts, contacts, leads, and opportunities. Those 4 types of information represent the heart and soul of the Sales Hub. Now, there are some collateral entities like quotes and orders and invoices and products that have definite uses. Most of the time, in most enterprise deployments, we find that orders and invoices and sometimes quotes and products are associated with other systems, ERP systems or quoting systems. So we're going to focus in this very brief demo on the 4 most critical entities, which are leads, opportunities, accounts, and contacts. So accounts represent an organization. This is a list of organizations. And these can be any type of organization. They can be your customers, or they can also be organizations that you do business with in some capacity, or they could also be organizations that serve you. It doesn't matter. You can put any kind of organization in the system. All you have to do is just characterize it, and you do that through what are called views, where you can see there are these different views that may show something specific to the information that you're tracking. And as you can see, this is a demonstrative system that we've customized to some extent. It's quite customizable. Contacts represent people. Now, needless to say, there can be any type of person, and also there's a relationship, a couple of relationships actually, between contacts and accounts in the system. Typically, contacts and accounts represent your customers, but again, they can represent any type of information as long as you characterize that information in a certain way. When we talk about accounts, and we look at accounts, we can see there's a couple of types of relationships as well to people. So there is, for instance, the primary contacts, which implies just one contact that is associated with this particular account, as well as other contacts that are associated in a one-to-many fashion. So there can be any number of contacts underneath an account, and there's one primary. This is sort of out of the box, the way that it's presented. Also, this is one tab on a form that has various types of information, and there are other tabs, as many tabs as you need to build. There are a few out-of-the-box details as one. There's also related information, and this is true of anything in the system. There's almost always a relationship to something else. So there's, as you can see, many different types of relationships. It depends on your system, and it depends on how much customization you have done or how many third-party applications you've installed as well. It's very important to talk about leads and opportunities, especially in the context of this application. So out of the box, which means Microsoft's Vision, the lead entity is considered to be relatively low value, unqualified potential business. So the idea is that you're not sure you're going to do business with this person or this company. And you don't want to sort of pollute your system with contacts and accounts that are not your actual customers. So they create a lead entity to sort of segregate that data that has basic contact information and important contact information. So for instance, a first and a last name, a company name, and a topic. And I highlight these specific pieces of information because they can become very important in the context of what comes next. What I mean by what comes next is the lead is designed to capture those activities that you are performing in order to determine whether or not this potential business will become a customer. And at some such time, and it varies between all organizations, there will be a qualification. You will qualify the lead. And the idea of the qualify lead button and what it does functionally is that it transforms this record into an opportunity. And it also advances it to the next stage. That's what qualify does. That means that you're telling the system with this action of qualify that this is potential business that deserves to become an opportunity. And there's more to it than that. And it's more to it than just a stage change. I'm going to explain that in a moment. There's also disqualifying. Disqualifies is less interesting, you could say. If you disqualify a lead, it simply goes into a state that is read-only and inactive, and it disappears from your views, and you don't see it anymore, but you can always dig it up and reactivate it if you want to. Much more interesting, of course, is qualify. So as I said, when I click qualify, I'm going to transfer this into an opportunity. I'm going to go from a lead to an opportunity, but a few other things are going to happen as well. And remember that there are some specific fields that I called your attention to: the topic, the first and last name, and the company name. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and click qualify and show you what transpires. As I click qualify, you'll see that there's some processing going on in the background. And then when the screen refreshes, we're going to see an opportunity. So now I'm looking at an opportunity. It was a lead, and now it's an opportunity. There's some significant differences. First of all, the opportunity now contains a related piece of information, another record in the system, which is a contact. And that contact was created. It wasn't there before. It was created from the first and last name and contact information, telephone number that was on the lead. Also, the account was created as well. The account was the company name listed on the lead. And finally, the topic is the name of the opportunity from the lead. So in one click, not only did you advance to the next stage, we're in the develop stage right now, but you also created 3 other records beside the lead. You created an opportunity, which has certain features, and I'll explain in a moment, you also created a related contact and a related account. And those are in fact related. If I were to click on Tito's Tacos, I would see as a primary contact Tito Romero, which is the person. I would also see the opportunity as well as certain map functions and things like that, all created in one click. So I go back now to the opportunity. We'll talk about some other functions of the opportunity. Besides being inherently more valuable from a data perspective, the opportunity is also about time and money. So the idea is that your sales team would put in an estimated close date, and once that was accomplished, then it would drive those dashboards that we looked at a little while ago, and some estimated revenue. So I'll go ahead and save that record. So now I've just added a little bit more value to the opportunity, because now we know a little bit about when and a little bit about how much, also the status. Now the other thing to understand about the opportunity is also in the context of the sales process. And the sales process, you might have noticed even back on the lead, is a series of, this is out of the box, stages. So there's the qualify stage, there's the develop stage, the propose stage, and the close stage. Needless to say, these stages are entirely customizable. You can add as many stages as you want. You can remove stages. You can even change the steps inside of each stage. So if I click on the develop stage, I see a series of steps. Now, again, this is completely customizable, and in fact, you can create attributes or identify attributes that are required before you can move to the next stage as well. The idea of the business process flow at the top of the lead entity and the opportunity entity is to guide your sales team through a specific process. Now, you can have, interestingly enough, branching processes, which means that the stages actually change depending on the data inside the opportunity or the lead. You can also have completely different business processes for different types of opportunities as well. If you're working in a system that has products, you're able to actually add product line items, and estimated revenue will be added automatically by clicking on products, by adding products. You can even go further with this, where you can turn an opportunity into a quote, and then all the way down the line to order, invoice, and so forth and so on. But this particular demonstration isn't going to focus too much on that. We'll focus on just the basics, which is accounts, contacts, leads, and opportunities. The idea of an opportunity is, the fundamental idea is that eventually it might be closed. So it could be closed as won, or it could be closed as lost. If I close it as lost, it's very similar to the disqualification of a lead. It goes into an inactive state, and it can be reactivated and then won at a later time. If I close it as won, I can go ahead and click on that. What happens is there comes an opportunity for you to, if you have it turned on, to identify a specific competitor, put a description in, put an actual close date, an actual revenue, and go ahead and click OK. Now, if you do something like that, what happens is that it will, of course, inform some of those dashboards with respect to the goals and things like that that we previously looked at. So if I go back to my dashboard now, you'll see that my actual money has changed based on the closing in Q4 of that particular opportunity. So I do want to briefly talk a little bit about dashboards, just because they are in fact very useful and also interactive. So not only do you get to see the information in the context that you want to see it, and it can be any information you have in here, you can also interact with the dashboard. So for instance, this is just one dashboard component. Any dashboard component can do this. You can just click on any part of the field and then drill down on any of the attributes that make sense. So for instance, if I want to see a list of these accounts, which are in fact the hot opportunities, then we see them here. So we can see here, these are the ones that really matter to me right now, and you can just hover over that and see that. And if you wanted to, you could click on that, and then you could go in and look at contacts and things like that. But the idea is that they're interactive, and they can easily be just drilled down several times and then brought back home if need be. Also, there's a very rich opportunity for customization. So this is a typical dashboard that has been customized. It's created. It's a personal dashboard that I built, and it just shows information. There's a custom entity called location visits in this particular customization that we did that represent something very specific with respect to locations. And then we can have these kinds of interactive where you hover over and you see very specific information in a certain context, these types of dashboards. And so there is a great deal of opportunity here to show information in the way that you want to see it at a personal level. This is a personal dashboard that I created, whereas these are my dashboards, as you can see, whereas we have system dashboards as well, which are usually delivered by default in the system. Okay, I wanted to keep this under 20 minutes, so I'm going to conclude this now. This is just the latest version of Microsoft Dynamics 365 Customer Engagement, and this is the Sales Hub app. I hope it's been helpful. Thank you.